private or anything like that, but just want to respect people's privacy and stuff. So I definitely wanted to restart. But yeah, thank you all for coming back. Like I said, we are having the market pump today. We're going to talk about real world assets. I was just on David's very large live stream that I'm very excited about. That was, let me show it right here, or no, right here. I was on David's live stream, decentralized AI right there. So that was super cool experience. Since we're restarting, I'll give the spiel. None of this is ever financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and always do your own research. But guys, what I am so excited about and why I just made it oopsie whoopsie is because we are currently scheduling to get this gentleman on. Anthony Pompliano will be on our stream next week. You know, you see him on CNBC, you see him all over the place. Follows me, as you can see here. And I am extremely, extremely excited about this. I am extremely proud of this. And the Finance Freeman brand, we're just going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to network. And I think not to talk about myself too much because I'm nothing special, but, you know, you've got a lot of these KOLs right now that have done nothing but promote meme coins for the last ever, right? Like, that's all they did. Where me, yeah, I'll promote some meme coins, but I'm very heavy on utility. And even when it came to partnerships for meme coins, right, I would maybe partner with 1 out of every 10 that contacted me. I would always disclose it, like, hey, this is a partnership. I'm a partner with them. Things like that. The same way that I say, you know, shout out to Blowfin for being our stream sponsor. I would never talk about anything that I don't truly believe in, right? But a lot of people did. And, you know, now they're sitting here and memes are doing nothing and they have no credibility, because even yesterday there was some coin called Stallion that reached out to me. I didn't take it and it rug pulled. But you know who did take it? All the other influencers that you like to watch and look at meme coins. So that's what sets us apart. It's a little bit of integrity. And I think that, you know, people see that and people respect that. And I've been able to meet some really good mentors along the way, some really good, you know, mentors on X, mentors on YouTube, large YouTubers, you know. We've been able to have George from Cryptos R Us up on the channel. You know, we're going to be able to have Anthony Pompliano, who's the CEO of BRR and, you know, obviously is a lot larger than I am, right? So who benefits most out of this situation? Obviously me, right? And so I just think that goes a long way. That's what I try to do is bring integrity and just be honest. Just be honest. Just try to be a good guy over time, because if you are in the meme coin realm, there was a lot of people promoting this Stallion thing. And you know what? I'm tired of, you know, playing nice guy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What's that guy's name? See if it's been deleted. Okay, let's look at this. The Wild Stallion. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's take a checkup up on the Wild Stallion, right? Let's see how the Wild Stallion's looking. And like I said, they contacted me and they were like, yeah, we got these influencers, we've got this, we've got that. And they contacted myself and Crypto Empress, and we both were like, no, that seems fishy. So let's take a look. Oh wow, 2.9K. Wow. Is anybody surprised? Like, come on, man. Who y'all watching over here? Who y'all watching? Y'all watching people, you know, the most dangerous thing's a broke influencer, because they take every deal. And let's see who else promoted this thing. You know what? I'm in a mood today, boys. I'm in a mood today. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if you know who promoted that. And look, I'm not saying that, you know, everyone that promoted this knew that it was like, going to do this, but it's always a red flag when someone reaches out. If a project reaches out and they're like, hey, we're building for the long term, like what we want to do is we would like to have like a month-long partnership and a couple videos and stuff like that, and you fully disclose everything, that's okay. Like, because people don't understand the expenses of this. Like, I'm full-time content, right? My overhead for running the business is about 4,000 a month. That's not my family. That's to make the content, edit the content, all of that. And that's just reoccurring expenses. That's not the 20,000 I have invested in the studio, right? And so it's very expensive if you're going to do it at a high level, as I try to do. And so, you do take partnerships and stuff like that, but you always have to do your due diligence. Salty Freeman is the best Freeman, man. I mean, man, when are they going to learn? When are they going to learn? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the same people promoting the same stuff that goes to zero. But what are we doing? We're not focusing too much on meme coins, right? Like in the Discord, we do trade meme coins and stuff like that. But it's understood that that is very risky, right? Never financial advice. Like odds of losing everything is very high, right? But that's just one small portion of it, right? I mean, if you come over here, like I was showing earlier, one of our guys is learning how to trade, right? And asking questions about stop losses and stuff like that. And so I was mentioning here how I trade is when I get in profit, I move my stop loss up into profit, right? And then he woke up with the trailing stop at 74% on the money, right? And so that's great. That's great. And so I try to focus on education and what really matters in this industry. And that's why I'm excited to get into what we are going to get into today. We're going to get into some real world asset projects, because yesterday we went over artificial intelligence. And right now my favorite AI project is BitTensorTau. It's just, think of like Bitcoin for AI, right? And there's a lot of use cases for it. I have a video about it. It's legit. It's not vaporware, right? I've talked about the internet computer before, a project that I really like. And I've talked about how the stock is not always the company, and the crypto token is not always representative of what the project's actually building. And I think that's where we're at in today's day and age. And so, in the podcast I was on earlier, we can listen to it if I find the end of it, on kind of what my take is on the market. And if y'all can't hear this, let me know. So what my take is kind of a broad, perfect spot I clicked, by the way. That was perfect. 4-year cycle take, which I don't believe in the 4-year cycle as some, Bitcoin God, doing it. Yeah. I just follow liquidity, like I've talked about multiple times in this. And so when I look, we're at peak tightness of liquidity now. We know that we have a Fed chair coming in mid-May that Trump's appointing. Trump's not going to appoint somebody in Wash that's gonna, raise interest rates or make it tighter. So we're gonna have a lot of liquidity start flowing into the ecosystem, or the, fiscal everything, in mid-May. So give that 3 or 4 months to work through the system. That would correlate with a traditional BTC bear market of about a year. So September or October bottom. But one thing I think people might make a mistake on is that BTC bottoms in October, they may miss a bottom on alts. If you go last cycle, Ethereum bottomed in May or June, whereas BTC bottomed later. And so that's kind of my take on what's going to happen. And yeah, that's David, guys. Go follow him. He's at like 900K on X. He goes live every day, across all platforms. He has hundreds of thousands concurrent viewers across all platforms. Currently 44K live on this. Guys, give me 1 second, please. My apologies, guys. I currently have strep throat. I'm feeling better, but the antibiotics just tear my stomach up, man. And yeah, feeling a little sick to the tummy. But the show stops for no one. And so I'm just joking. But so basically I'm expecting alts to bottom in, never financial advice, like I said, but I'm expecting alts to bottom somewhere over summertime, which I think will catch a lot of people off guard because they're going to be waiting on BTC to bottom. But it could not happen. But look at how BitTensor has looked. Like, this is strong right here. Like, that is a strong move, a double bottom move and a 10% pump, made a new high. But obviously Bitcoin did the same thing, right? And so this is what I'm looking at right now. If we come over here, and like I said, guys, this is the official exchange of Finance Freeman. There will be a link down below in the YouTube description as well as pinned. And if you wanted to follow us in Discord to see what trades we're doing and stuff, there is a code LOVE50 for 50% off. So it's about $25 a month. That's it. And I would love to have you there. We're definitely like a family, and I just absolutely love it. But this is kind of what I'm looking at right here. So the levels that we have to look forward to, we had this downward channel forming, and we broke out of it with volume. And so now kind of the levels that we need to look for BTC, let's say this right here. Okay. So clearing these levels. And then when we clear that level, then we can talk. Then we can talk and we can come up here. But I do ultimately expect it to be a lower high. And then I do expect us to sweep the 58, level range, at least. And so we'll see, but this could happen, over, we could come up and range in here, and then maybe that happens, in October, or maybe it doesn't happen. But whenever you look at altcoins, like we could just look at Tau, for instance, but let's go, since we're talking about real world assets, let's just go look at real world assets real quick. And if we take a look at RWA, let's see, where's old Ondo at? Did I miss it? Dang, it's all the way down at 50. If you take a look at this all time, it's like, how much lower can it really go? Like before you're like, okay, yeah, that thing's never coming back. So we're at this level that is, we're very beat down on alts across the board. And so that's kind of where my thesis comes from, that we may bottom on alts sooner than we actually bottom on BTC. And so let's go take a look at Bitcoin dominance. And this is also something I'm looking at. This is the Dow Jones. If you go back to Liberation Day, you can see we're up 37% with like essentially no pullback, right? Like if we wanted to try to find a break point, we could look at this right there. There's a tighter one in here. If we wanted to look at that and call these fake outs. But anyways, we could be seeing a correction in the stock market. And if we see a correction in the stock market, obviously, unless this is something that typically doesn't happen, then we would see that also in altcoins. But if we come over here and look at real world assets, and let's sort of search by volume, let's see. This is gold right here. Let's see how gold's been looking. Gold, look how volatile this is. Like, that's crazy to see this much volatility in gold, 22%, and then coming back up. But you can see this right here. It's a tough level. Like getting over 5,100. It's trying to get back over 5,000 now, 537, But we've got a lot of good ones. Like same thing. If we come over here and look at Link is at like a very critical level. And Link is an oracle. So what the oracle does is an oracle basically takes price feed data from off-chain, on-chain. It could be from different chains. It could be from, MLS listings on retail or on real estate, anything, right? But looking at like potential trade setups, and like I said, never financial advice. Like this is obviously a very, very important level. You could see it was resistance, 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 support, support, and now we have reclaimed that. So like let's just use, and I don't have this, I have most of my funds in my funding account, not in my perp account. But just like right here, for instance, if I was just to say, okay, let's see, we're at 879 right now. Stop loss a little bit underneath that. Let's say 7.85 for the stop loss. Let's say 1300 trade. 879. So like with something like this, since I didn't catch the bottom, I would do lower, probably like that. And so you look, okay, so that's about 20% loss. But what happens if it, comes up here and gets back to this level? So that's like 27. That's a major, this is what I like to look for like risk rewards. Like, okay, lose 400, potentially make 7,800, but like I said, never financial advice, always do your own research and everything. But it's just the whole point of showing this is that alts are down like bad. And so I think some alts are going to zero, but I think other altcoins are not going to zero, and they've been dragged down with the rest of the market. And that's what I want to find. And so Chainlink is definitely like just an overall bet on DeFi. Like if you're somebody that's like, okay, I can't decide between Ondo, Zebec, Canton, there's all these different things. Like, what do I do? What do I do? I mean, all of them use Chainlink, right? Chainlink is the main oracle. There's Pith Network that's primarily on Solana, but for anything OX, for anything Ethereum or EVM based, they use Chainlink. And so just looking at this right here, it's like, yeah, I mean, it could go lower, it might go lower, but overall, if you just look historically, like Chainlink has operated very strongly. This is like the third cycle, like if it came down to these levels, that would be absolutely crazy. But yeah, so one of them I definitely like is Chainlink. Like I said, I kind of look at that as like an overall bet on decentralized finance. But I want to get into somebody who is a partner of the channel, but this is Algorand. Okay. And if you go back on Algorand, you could see these lows right here. And this is also available on Blowfin. But you can see like we're basically down here at these lows. But what are they working on? Because a lot of people see these dino chains and they're like, oh my gosh, I think 7 years old, yada, yada, yada. But that's not what I look at. And I don't even look at price so much in the short term because I'm bullish long term. And so I like to look at what they're actually building, tokenized real world assets, low transaction fees, granular control, trustless transfers, ease of creation, fast execution, secure and scalable. And I'm trying to schedule it with them. I think it's going to end up being the week after next, but Lofty, the NASDAQ for real estate. And then they also have a prediction market called Alpha Arcade that I actually utilized this Alpha Arcade. So it's really cool to see everything that Algorand's building. If you kind of want to see more in depth, I've got full detailed reviews on the YouTube page about the different real world asset protocols and projects that they're building. But Algorand's one that I really like that I think could potentially surprise a lot of people. One of them that I know a lot of people are bullish on is Ondo. But I want us to do some research on Ondo. And, they're tokenizing a ton of stocks right now. Ondo is tokenizing stocks all over the place. But if they're tokenizing all these stocks, why does the chart look like this? And this is the valuation problem that I talk about in cryptocurrency, is because if you take a look, is the token actually a part of the company? Is it just governance? What does it actually do? You know what I mean? Like if Ondo Foundation, okay, makes a ton of money doing real world assets and stuff like that, how does that relate to the token? And if you look at the Ondo token, you can see the main point is that it's a governance token. There's no scheduled or planned inflation, but it could be changed. And so, what is this actually doing? You know what I mean? Like what is governance? What does that even mean for most people? Most people don't care. But when most people look at this, they think of it similar to a security, like, wow, they're tokenizing all these stocks. And I'm not saying anything bad about Ondo, right? I like Ondo. And part of the reason the structure has been like this, I think, is because of how the SEC has previously treated cryptocurrency. But so it's just something we have to be cognizant of when we are looking at projects of how does the actual token be utilized on the ecosystem. Here's internet computer. This token is used all throughout the ecosystem, right? Price looks bad, but it looks, it's completely used in the ecosystem. But I want to get into one called Zebec, ZBCN. I don't like the ticker. I wish it was a little different ticker, like Zeb, ZEB, or something like that. But hey, that's a small problem, right? That's a small thing to worry about. But if we come over here, and this is actually one of the only, might be the only utility project on Solana that I hold and that I'm interested in. And it's all because of their payment rails, where real time meets real world, stablecoin payroll, and seamless PayFi in motion. And Brian, if you're still here, comment what you said on the previous stream that we had to restart. You said that there was some big news out about Zebec or a partnership. Let's come over here and take a look at their X. And it's USA based, right? So we know that there has been talk from the administration about, no taxes on potentially USA assets or USA crypto. So that would be really cool. The Zebec Super app goes live February 25th. All of Zebec's ecosystem under one roof. Access your silver and carbon cards, stream roll payroll across Solana. Stake Zebec, designed for everyday use. This is cool. So the February 25th launch introduces the desktop version of the Super app with mobile version coming soon. I think that's really cool. I think that's great because they really could lead payments. And for somebody like a large institution, I think that they're probably going to use Ethereum or some kind of rails with that. If they're sending, limited number but large transactions. But something like this is perfect for small businesses, for people that have a lot of employees that have weekly payroll. Something like Zebec on Solana, because the fees are going to be super cheap, is bullish, And so let's go look back at the chart, and I want to break down the tokenomics a little bit more, because you can see there's really no more inflation coming to Zebec. You could see total supply 99.99 bill, with the max supply being 100 bill. So there's really no more inflation. If we come up here and we draw a fib, you can see it's currently sitting at the 786 fib level. Y'all know I like to look at the 886 fib level. And you can see that's actually where that wick touched, right, guys? I'm telling you, this is like magic. Once you learn technical analysis and once you get into technical analysis, you're going to be like, wow, that's amazing. That's crazy how it works like that. And so you could see this 0.001 level, actually acted as a very hard support on that wick that happened last week. And so, like I said, this is the only project on Solana that I currently hold long term that is a utility project. But let me know if there's anything else you guys want me to look at before we get into, and we can get into some more projects. I just want to see what people are talking about in the crypto realm. President Trump just made the most important announcement of 2026. Let's listen to this.
You've made America the digital asset capital of the world. We did the Genius Act for stable coins. Many of the people standing up here are working on the Clarity Bill to
I hope it gets done.
Market structure.
Yeah.
And we're bringing U.S. best practices to an exciting new industry, digital assets, innovation, and it spreads everywhere.
So that was not recent. A lot of people like to post that it just happened, but let's see, is this recent? This does look recent. Let's listen to this over on CNBC.
For the overall crypto community. So, in a time when we are having one of these historically volatile sell-offs, I think some clarity on the Clarity Bill would give great comfort to the market, and we could move forward from there. So it's very important to get this done. And I think if the Democrats were to take the House, which is far from my best case, then the prospects of getting a deal done will just fall apart. I mean, look what the Democrats did to crypto under the Biden administration. It was.
So that's a good point what he said, because midterms are coming up. So I do think it's important that we get this done, that we get this legislation passed through before midterms, because the odds are the Republicans are going to lose at least one of them, the House or the Senate. But I explained in a different video why that's actually bullish for markets, because if you take a look at how, no matter what your political beliefs are, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I only want what's best for markets. Like, trust me, I worry about my four walls in my house, and that's it. And the number one thing that affects my family is how good I'm able to be with money. And so when you look historically, the market has performed the best when one party does not have full control. So maybe you have the presidency and the Senate, but then the other party has the House, or some mix of that. And that's because markets want certainty. Markets want to know that nothing is going to change, that they don't have to worry about new legislation getting put in, new taxes, new this, new that. And so I think if this could get passed through and give clarity on what is a security, that's already been hammered out a little bit, but it's going to open the floodgates, I believe, to real world assets and to artificial intelligence. So just in a second, and then we got to look at this, right? If there's something going on with Iran, all of that's something that's going to definitely affect markets and stuff. But there's been a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt recently regarding the overall Bitcoin. We had the files come out and stuff like that. Let's look what this looks like. BTC going up, open interest going down. This seems like a rally driven by shorts being closed. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Let's come over here and take a look at BTC and see. And the reason I look at Bitcoin so much is I know a lot of people here are into altcoins, but BTC drives the market. And so this is low time frame, but if we just look at this right here, let's move that out the way. If you can look at these volume profiles and stuff, and typically when price is going up and volume is going down, it's typically not the best thing to look at. We could look at RSI to try to see if there's a divergence or anything, but we've definitely had a good rebound. Let's look at ETH. I mean, you can see these all look like mirrored charts, right? Like it's just everything's following BTC for now. Golly, these guys like scam pump this thing all the time. What was that? 72.8. Okay. I don't know. I think that they do a lot of weird stuff with some of these low liquidity memes. And so I like to try to capitalize on those when I can, go in the opposite direction. But like I said, never financial advice, never financial advice. But let's go take a look at the overall markets. How do y'all feel that sentiment is right now? I feel like sentiment's coming back a little bit just in time to get squashed. Bitcoin 69K. Tron, Justin Sun's probably just buying that. Hyperliquid Monero. Zcash is one that I know it's not real world assets necessarily, but it is privacy. And, you know, I'm not convinced that it was just a one pump thing. I'm not convinced. You could see it hit the 786 fib level perfectly. What would the 886 fib level be like? But like, so those are the three main narratives that I'm looking at right now. Is real world, well, in this order, is artificial intelligence, decentralized artificial intelligence, real world assets third, and privacy second. So AI, privacy, real world assets. And so you can see 116 would be the 886 fib level for something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, let's see where it goes. Do they have it over here? Spot and futures. Yeah, that's good. I have a historical Zcash short, actually. Let me see if I can find it. And I'll show it to y'all. No, I don't know where it is. But anyways, I basically shorted the top. It worked out perfectly. Oh, look what just popped up. Cheap entry on a runner. And, you know, it's a lot cheaper now. It's like 4K market cap now because everybody ran off with the bag. Yeah, that's why I do not promote sketchy stuff. I don't do it, or I try my best to do my research. Natalie Bruno just said live on Fox that the US dollar system is collapsing and being replaced. When was this? See, people post stuff all the time, and you don't know if it's really live. So, like, what did they just show? They just showed DraftKings at 26. Let's come over here and look at DraftKings. I think it's like 19. Okay, so this was maybe like yesterday, so not too old. But yeah, if you're just joining the show, guys, we're gonna have Anthony Pompliano here next week. I'm very, very excited about that. I actually invested in his company. I made a post about, and I can show that, and I did it publicly and also obviously in the Discord. I put it up. But yeah, I think it all started by I made this post right here, and then I seen his COO followed me. He liked it, and then he responded to my DM because I had DM'd him before. And it just shows you, man, you miss every shot in life you don't take, right? When I was 17, I shot my shot at my wife, and you know, now we're married, right? And with today, I was on David's stream. Like, I reached out to David. I was like, hey man, this is what I'm doing. I would love to come up. Anthony, I reached out to him. He's seen my video, and then bam, I have a huge person coming up on the Finance Freeman Live. So you miss every shot in life you don't take, man. So if you're wanting to do it, just do it. Don't let nobody stop you. Just go. The worst that could happen is you fail. But you know what? You're not going to succeed if you don't try. I mean, that's it. You ain't going to succeed if you don't try. Let's see what else we got cooking. Fear and Greed still single digit 8. I figured it would have ticked up at least a little bit. I'm bullish though. Like, I mean, these are the best times, like, I think personally, when people are scared, when people don't know what's going on, people are worried, you know, and that's the best time to look, man. I'm like a shark. Blood in the water. Do. Then I get them. You know, I've been doing a lot of research on this. So, you know, I made this viral post that was on regarding Bitcoin and its fees. And I don't know if anyone's seen that, but it ended up getting like a 423K views. And, you know, I had a lot of people reach out to me about some of these other forks, and I've always kind of written them off. But the history of BTC is that basically in the block wars with how big the blocks could be, which is what happens every 10 minutes, Bitcoin Cash was spun off by a hard fork because the miners didn't agree. So the miners that didn't vote, they went over to Bitcoin Cash. Well, then after Bitcoin Cash, there was another one called BSV that we can look at, Bitcoin SV. And a lot of the people that are into this say this is the real BTC. Like, it's scalable, it's government compliant, it's all kinds of stuff like that. But this is actually a hard fork from BTC. And so here's an article on it. The price of permission, blockchain's next era of compliance and control. And I'm always somebody that's looking to be compliant. You know, I want compliance. And there's this gentleman right here called Kurt, who is big in the BSV community. And you've got to understand, these are folks that are, you know, they were in the early BTC days. You know, they were in these arguments about what's going on with BTC. And then this is where they are, you know, working on BSV. And so I'm going to have him up to talk about what BSV is. Maybe next week. We've got ETH Denver going on. So it's going to be, you know, kind of tight. We're only going to stream a couple days next week. But yeah, so we're going to have him up to talk about that. But, you know, my goal in this time is to find the stuff that nobody's talking about. The markets are down. Everyone's left. They went to AI. They went to this, even though they don't realize, like I believe I realize, that we are coming full circle, that AI is going to be on chain. And so a lot of people have left. Let's look at Sol. Kind of looks ugly. Let's go to market cap. Look at it, market cap. So market cap definitely looks a lot better than raw token price. If you look at raw token price, it looks like a head and shoulders. Not a perfect head and shoulders, but it looks like a head and shoulders that would take you down to like negative $20. But if you look at this right here, yeah, I mean, you could make some trends out of that. Keep it simple, stupid. You don't need to get too crazy on it or anything like that. But you can see we are at this level of support right here for Solana, and so we'll see how low Sol really goes. Let's draw a fib on it. So yeah, potentially like the 886 level. Where would that be for Solana? $22 billion would be the 886 fib level, which is pretty low. So how much of a dip would that be from today's price? Let's take a look, and then I'll tell you what the token price would measure at. That's another 50% drop. So if we were to see another 50% drop, that puts Solana at like 42, 43 bucks. Yeah, I would be interested there. I would definitely be interested there. I mean, honestly now, but you know, Solana's an inflationary project. And so we have to keep that in mind as well. XRP, I like XRP. I don't think it's going to $10,000 like some people do, but you know, it's definitely got a lot of adoption. You know, a lot of people that are, it's got a lot of people that think it is going to 10,000. So that's good for me. But I do like it. You know, I could definitely see a lot of adoption coming. But this is already 86 bill market cap, right? So this would take it down to 87 cents if it hit this 886 fib level. And so I really think that we've got to get over the mindset that, you know, the bull market's still here. We've got to accept it. Bear market's here. Okay. Now, how quick does it end? That can be debated. But we've got to understand where we are at in the cycle, why we're here in the cycle, which is because of liquidity, like I talked about on David's podcast. And with all of that, we have to know where to go to try to find the gems. And this is a new real world asset project that has held up extremely well. I mean, look at this chart. Going back from December. Canton Foundation. The foundation ensures fair governance and oversight of the global synchronizer, the decentralized system that connects everything across the Canton network. I want to watch this data right here. I want to watch this and see how often they update it and stuff, but to see how many super validator nodes they have, how many total validators, because that's how we're going to be able to see, you know, adoption or real adoption come into this. So let me know if anyone's bullish on Canton. Kind of came out of nowhere though, and got a lot of market share. They got basically every exchange. Yeah. Let's see how Home 3 is doing. This is one that I liked. Is like a micro cap. They were working on tokenization of real estate, solving real world problems with real world assets. I actually had the dev on my channel before for an interview. They were supposed to be partnering with like, I think it was Saudi Arabia. Let's go look at the X. I never thought they were active enough on X. Like February 6th was the last update, dude. We should have like daily updates. But let's take a look at this. Web3 Summit in Qatar post-event. Opening night. Qatar announced CAR 2B investment into the startup ecosystem, unlocking new opportunities that we're actively being exploring as we scale Prop 3 and wider Home 3. So Prop 3 is like, this project's divided up into a few different things. They have like a loan side, a title side. It's a lot, but here's Prop 3, property management. So you can see they're building. They're definitely building still. And this project is in the gutter. Like, I actually bought it up here. I bought like all over the place over here, like with decent size. I bought. And this is a ETH mainnet token right here, but it's definitely one I'll keep my eye on and stuff. Maybe throw a couple shekels towards it. And yeah, I'm sorry guys. I'm not performing at my best today, but I'm just not feeling too hot, but I'm here trying to get you. Kathy Wood says deflation has come and her evidence might
is resolved.
So let me just explain the difference between inflation, disinflation, and deflation. Inflation is the cost of goods going up. Now, why do goods go up? Do they go up because people just want to raise the prices? Well, it's two parts. One, if you have a stagnant, a flat value of the money, meaning that the money is not being printed, then what you get out of that is supply and demand. The more supply you have, the lower the prices. The more demand you have, the less the prices, okay? On the other side of that is if they're printing a whole bunch of money and the supply and demand is constant, then prices go up because what you are paying with goes down in value. Well, disinflation is just what we're in now. Inflation going down, okay? Just the rate of inflation going down. But deflation is very bad, and they do not want that to happen. Deflation is where literally costs are going down and the money is, you know, basically stagnant. Both sides are stagnant, but everything's going down in price. And that could be because of efficiency with artificial intelligence. That could be done because of lack of workforce, a whole bunch of different things. But trueflation is currently shown, Anthony Pompliano shows this a lot, is at like 0.7 or 0.8, even though the government data is showing like 2.3. So let's listen to this.
So trueflation is down to 0.8%. And so it too was stuck in that 2 to 3% range. It is resolving to the downside. And I think it's going to go negative. When I see Pepsi cutting the price of potato chips and
So if it goes negative, that is what we would consider deflation, right? That's what they don't want.
Doritos by 15%, you know, I take note. And when I hear Coke saying, yeah, it seems like there's a bit of a backlash against price increases, I take note. Today, the existing home price inflation rate dropped to 0.9% on a year-over-year basis. And we think that's going to go negative. New home prices are already falling on a year-over-year basis. Gasoline prices falling.
So you might say, well, what's the problem if the cost of stuff goes down? And it's because we are in a debt system, right? So whenever you have inflation, meaning the money is worth less year over year, which is actually the Federal Reserve's goal, 2% inflation year over year, what you get is people wanting to borrow debt and, you know, kind of leverage, and so they can outpace the inflation and everything. But once you get in a deflationary aspect, people actually want to unwind the debt, okay? Because you're actually working harder to pay off that debt, right? And like if you have a loan on the house and then the house goes down in value a lot, right? That's one example of it. But you also don't want people sitting there seeing prices go down year after year after year or month after month saying, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait because the price is going to keep falling. The prices keep falling and nobody's buying because they're waiting for the bottom, kind of like in crypto right now. You know, what happens is the economy is stagnates, and then people lose jobs because those companies aren't making money and things like that. We're in a consumer and a debt-based economy. That's just how it works. And so I think the Fed needs to be very careful with deflation coming, because if these trueflation numbers are true, and we can come over here and look at Pomp Anthony, he posts about it almost every day, so I'm sure he'll have something about it or a snip about it. But if you worry about that, you know, it's a real thing, and the solution for it is then causing inflation, which is going to be, if it happens, very good for risk on assets, because it's like the money printer, the money printer turning on. And so we're kind of in a sticky time right now. Liquidity's tight. Inflation is dropping at a rapid pace. Job claims are looking strong, but they might be revised negative. You never know. And so it's kind of a sticky time, but I'm bullish on crypto. I'm bullish on everything. What is this? Oh, it's talking about the safe moon person. Let's go see. Let's look at my list and kind of see how CT is. The labor market basically became a signaling and ego market over the last 100 years. 19th century was largely a production-oriented society. And that's right. The United States doesn't really make anything anymore, just software. And that's another thing. Software companies have been tanking. 20th century signaling and consumerist, right? 21st century becomes what? Optimization, ownership, status. Polymarket launches 5-minute up and down crypto. Polymarkets are now live. Look, powered and secured by Chainlink. You see, that's what I mean, how it's kind of like the overall bet on just DeFi in general, because of the fact that it's an oracle, especially on anything EVM based. And Polymarket uses Polygon. I'm telling you, we're early to this BitTensor Tau. I'm extremely, extremely bullish on that. But hey, guys, I'm kind of sorry, man. I'm not feeling too hot. I'm not feeling too hot. My yeah, I'm that strep throat, my stomach's upset. So I think I'm going to cut the stream short today. We normally go for like 2 hours. This one I'm going to cut a little short, guys. But we will be back. Maybe we're going to have a Saturday show tomorrow. I'll see how I'm feeling. But we're definitely going to be back Monday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Like I said, if you want to join the Discord, see what we're trading, see what's going on, you can get 50% off using code LOVE50. And then also the sponsor of the stream, Blowfin, is where I do all my trading. So anything I reference within the Discord will be, relative to Blowfin, where they have a ton of assets listed and everything. And if you don't follow us over on X, make sure you do. And make sure you also subscribe over on YouTube, guys. But I'll try to go live tomorrow or Sunday. But I'm feeling a little under the weather right now, guys. So I really apologize about that. But I love you all. Thank you for being here to support. We will be on time Monday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I love you all.